Hey everybody, I'm Joshua.
And I'm Caleb.
And we're still brothers. We figured out how to do this thing for our whole life. It's pretty impressive. Now guys, in today's society, we deal with a lot of pressures.
That's true,
You've
Josh.
probably heard the term before, peer pressure. Now, I honestly don't know what a peer is, but I've always heard that I should never be pressured by them.
Yes.
And usually, as believers, when we talk about peer pressure, we tell about a story how we stood up for what was right against said pressure and made the right choice. I have the opposite story today. No, I didn't give in to peer pressure. I was the peer that was pressuring my brother right here. I don't know if he remembers this, but there was a time that we were both working on a shoot. The shoot was outside in the middle of the summer in Texas. It was over 100 degrees. He was fatigued and tired, and I had these little yellow pills that were supposed to give you energy. And I said, brother, I've taken this pill, and this pill has given me energy. You should take this pill. And he's like, I'm concerned. My body is sensitive to pills. I don't think I should take it. I said, brother, what could go wrong? Look at me.
Yeah.
I've already taken many of these pills, and I have tons of energy. Needless to say, he took the pill due to my peer pressure. He was in a canoe with a camera. A mere minutes later, finding himself nearly capsizing as his body was convulsing and passing out due to the reaction his body had to the pill, only to find ourselves in the emergency room later that night with a large doctor bill with an IV because my peer pressure ruined my brother's life. So, let my example be to you, don't be on either end of that. Stand for what's right like you should have done, brother. It's okay, I exposed your weakness. Let me start off with the scripture.
I think that's
probably better.
Josh. Thank you.
Romans 5:19 says, "For as by one man's disobedience many were made sinners, so also by one man's obedience many will be made righteous."
That's true, Josh. You know, our flesh, our sinful nature wants to rebel against God. That's why as Christians, as believers in Messiah, we have to conform our mind and our will to submit to Messiah in obedience in all things so that we won't be slaves to sin. But what happens, Josh, when being obedient to God makes you disobedient to man?
Ouch, that's a problem.
It is a problem. Like, you know, you may say when the evil government tells you you can't go to church, then I'll stand up and say, you won't stop me, I will so go to church. But what happens, Josh, when conformity to sin is occurring within the church itself?
Ooh, well, what am I supposed to do then?
Well, are you so well-versed in Scripture that you know when deception has integrated itself into the body of Christ? Jeremiah the prophet, many prophets in the Bible, but I'm thinking Jeremiah because we're going through the series, Jeremiah, Hope Over the Horizon, we're plugging that. He had to stand against the entire religious system in Judah that had fallen into sin. God's system, but he was saying something else. Judgment is coming. People didn't like that. Yeshua himself had to stand against the Pharisees. Guess what? They called him Beelzebub. They say, you're Satan. They called the Son of God Satan.
That's always good. You know, I don't know if I'd ever roll up on Jesus and call him, Beelzebub, but some people have had that level of audacity.
So, you know, when are you going to be the person to stand up for what is righteousness? Are you going to conform to what's going on in the world?
Well, according to Matthew 22:21, render therefore to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and God the things that are God's. Now, every unbeliever knows this saying. This is a very famous story in the Bible of when the Pharisees were trying to entrap Yeshua with something that was going on with the day with the religious zealots.
Yeah, so zealots. No, they were the zealots. The zealots was a group, Josh, of Jewish religious people who believed that the entire system of Roman government was corrupt. Therefore, they did not have to adhere, have to obey to that system, and did not have to pay taxes to that system. So Yeshua was drawing a comparison. All those things of the earth, you know, earthly riches, earthly stuff of man, just give it to man, even if they're corrupt. But the things of the Spirit, the worship and the praise, those you give to God. Now, that means, yes, Yeshua obeyed the Roman system of government, but if something that government did try to encroach upon your religious sensibilities and make you sin against God, that's when you stand up and say no.
What if I feel like my taxes are spiritual? Do I still have to give them to Caesar, or can I keep them?
Guys,
that's another question.
Yeah, let's look at a story in the Bible, Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah.
Now, wait a minute. I've heard of Daniel, but on the felt boards, I don't remember seeing a Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah.
Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Oh, yeah. You know those guys.
They got different names?
Yes, they do.
Why?
These guys were princes, Josh. They were royalty. in Judah. You know, one of them may have been in line to be the next king of Judah, but they were a threat to Nebuchadnezzar. So he took them all the princes of Judah, to Babylon. And to make sure that their lineage didn't carry on to be a threat to him, he castrated them.
Whoa!
He emasculated them into submission.
This was also not on the felt board. Says anybody, please, write in. Have any of you on the felt boards on Sunday morning seen the story of Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah being castrated? I didn't know that.
It's a sad fact, but they began a 3-year program to be indoctrinated into the Babylonian society. It was programming. They were given the Babylonian names of the Babylonian pantheon of gods: Belteshazzar, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They were schooled in the ways of sorcery and all the different arts of Babylon, taught their language, how to speak. And then they were taught to eat the food of the Babylonians, which wasn't kosher, was sacrificed to idols.
What a kick in the pants.
Yeah.
You're taken from your home. You're taking something else from your home. You can't eat the food you're supposed to eat. You can't learn what you're supposed to learn.
Yeah.
And then they teach you everything exactly opposite of the way you've been raised and force you to do that.
And all the other Jews were doing it. All the other Jews were doing it because they were afraid of losing their lives. But not Daniel.
See, Daniel, Daniel 1:8 talks about this. But Daniel purposed in his heart that he would not defile himself with the portion of the king's delicacies, nor with the wine which he drank. Therefore he requested of the chief of the eunuchs that he might not defile himself.
That's true. Now, God gave Daniel favor with Ashpenaz, the master of the eunuchs, with Arioch, the commander of the guards, even with Nebuchadnezzar, the spirit of Antichrist that was within him himself. You know, this picture of a false Messiah. And because of the integrity he showed and the character and the respect he showed these people, he was allowed to, as we know, eat the kosher diet, vegetables, and all that. And many of you Messianic and Jewish people may be saying, this is all about kosher, this story is about kosher. But Yeshua Messiah was saying, it's not really about what you eat that affects you.
I'm glad that you think maybe that's not the case. Let's look at the Bible. Matthew 15:11 says, what goes into someone's mouth does not defile them, but what comes out of their mouth, that is what defiles them.
Yeah.
Matthew 12:34 says, for out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks.
So this was a matter of the heart, guys. Daniel did not want to pollute himself, his spirit, his relationship with God by doing something that would pollute his body. Many times, Daniel and his friends, they had to stand up for what was right and threaten their own existence with the annihilation of the wise men, with the bowing to the golden idol of Nebuchadnezzar, and with Daniel being thrown into the lion's den. They found the moment when it was correct to stand up against the authority, but they did so respectfully.
Daniel 1:12 says, please test your servants for 10 days and let them give us vegetables to eat and water to drink. That was at a point where Daniel had a plan, right?
Yeah, please. He didn't say, hey, our God said we can't eat your food, you know, we're not going to eat your filthy food.
He humbly went and asked.
They were always humble, even before the king. Nebuchadnezzar, we respect you and honor you, but we cannot bow to this idol because it would defy our God. And so, guys, we may not get that moment in our lifetime where we're forced, you know, get the mark of a beast or die. But many times throughout history that has happened to Christians. What happens if we ever do get to that point in our lives, Josh? Renounce Jesus or die. Will you ever be faithful when that time comes? You may say that's preposterous. That's never going to happen, right? I mean,
you say that, but the borders keep getting pushed more and more every day. I'm just going to let you know that.
Yeah.
1 John 2:18-19 says, little children, it is the last hour. And as you have heard that the Antichrist is coming, even now many Antichrists have come, by which we know that this is the last hour. They went out from us, but they were not of us.
So what Paul's saying is the spirit of Antichrist was already present within the church back then. So you have that Babylonian spirit of the past, the Neo-Babylonian Empire, and out of it came an Antichrist spirit. And it's not by accident that Yeshua Jesus calls the end times government of the beast Babylon the Great. Here you have the second Babylon that emerges, and that spirit is alive today in the church, the spirit of Babylon. It came out from us. We have to be alert and aware when the false prophets, when the false apostles, the false teachers are in our churches saying, you do this, but you're really violating God's commands.
1 John 2:22 says, who is a liar but he who denies that Jesus is the Christ? He is Antichrist who denies the Father of the Son. Guys, sometimes it's that clear. Sometimes it's, you know, turn or burn, right? You've heard that before.
That's right.
But sometimes it's more subtle. And we're in a time period now with these terminologies that's being thrown around today, compliance, coercion, compromise,
that's true.
The 3 big C's of the day, where it's not always as cut and dry at the front.
True. And compliance is a word you're seeing in government mandates and news briefings pop up. It was a word that the Nazis used, of subjugation and conformity. Though there is compliance, it doesn't ever change your heart, and that creates a problem on both sides. And compliance is usually forced by coercion. It's an ultimatum. Choose this, bow to this, or die. Get I didn't mean to say that.
Oh, snap.
Or it usually leads to compromise, guys, and that's abandoning your set of standards or morals for some set of standards that is lesser than yours and lesser than God's, and we don't want that in our lives.
We don't.
The fact that what we're talking about a matter of the heart, Josh,
yeah.
Because during the millennial reign, you have peace on earth, what everybody's been looking for, utopia. And Messiah ensures that under a rod of iron. You're going to be obedient. There's righteousness ruling. The people's hearts are still corrupted. And that's why when Satan appears, everybody jumps on the bandwagon. Let's go against Messiah. It's the easy thing to do. It's the quick thing to do.
Guys, Revelation 20:7-9 says, when the 1,000 years are over, Satan will be released from his prison and will go out to deceive the nations in the four corners of the earth. In number, they're like the sands of the seashore. They marched across the breadth of the earth, surrounded by the camp of God's people, the city he loves. But fire came down from heaven and devoured them. We always kind of think that, the idea of the grass is greener, like, I'll totally make the choice. Or, if I was forced to, if you just showed me what was right, I guarantee I would never do what was wrong. But it's not about the legalism of being forced into something. It's about where your heart is.
Yeah. And that's why I believe, Josh, we should all make that determination in our hearts someday.
We have to do it now.
Yes. Have you made that decision? If you ever come to that moment where you have to renounce Yeshua or die, you make that choice. You may think that's crazy. We're never going to come across that decision. You haven't been watching the news lately. All believers throughout time have had to make that decision. Believers on the other side of the world have to make that daily. And we have made that decision from when we were younger. Josh has been a missionary traveling around. He has had to make many dangerous decisions in those situations. But we know this is the last days, and persecution is coming to the church. And Yeshua warned that in Revelation, he said that not just is there corruption in the church and deception, but that persecution is coming to us.
Revelation 2:10 says, do not be afraid of what you are about to suffer. I tell you, the devil will put some of you in prison to test you, and you will suffer persecution for 10 days. Be faithful, even to the point of death, and I will give you life as your victor's crown. Revelation 3:10-11, since you have kept my command to endure patiently, I will also keep you from the hour of trial that is going to come on the whole world to test the inhabitants of the earth. I am coming soon. Hold on to what you have so that no one will take your crown.
So Josh, I believe we can no longer walk the middle road. We'll make both sides happy. I think light and dark, black and white is getting more distinct, and we're going to have to make that choice. We're going to choose God's way, or are we going to choose man's way? And that's a choice we all need to make, but we have that hope, as Josh just read, that Yeshua is coming soon. We have something to look forward to. So live your life for him now. Even if the bad, hard decisions come, you're already resolved when they happen. You know what's going on.
And don't worry, we're not saying that is the Antichrist or anything like that, and he's going to definitely seek you out if you say something wrong on it. What we're saying, guys, is that it's so easy and simple to get caught up. If you think of the idea of the current, in the ocean, what happens when you get in it? No matter how much you fight against it, it's already pulling you out. You can't go that far out into the deep end. So what happens in our everyday life is that we kind of get slowly pulled into the deep end, and by the time we realize where we're at, or the decisions that we're making, or the pressures that are on us, we're already so deep into it we feel overwhelmed, or maybe we don't even know what's going on. We're saying that today is the day to make the choice.
That's right.
Make the choice for what's right, make the choice to stand, so that when you're in that moment and the pressure is on you, you know what to do. It's not about whether or not you offend people. Right? Daniel and those boys weren't trying to offend anybody. No. They went humbly and they spoke the truth. But the truth has to remain the truth regardless of the consequences of people's emotions, feelings, or the other opinions of the day. And that's all we're saying. We love you guys.
Yeah.
We want you to stand strong. We want you to, Fidji wants you to as well, do what's right. And hopefully...
join us next time.
No, hopefully I'll get over my peer pressure ways, and I'll never try to get you to do what's wrong again.
I learned from my mistakes. I will not give in to him again.
See, I was just giving him a lesson that was with a little reverse psychology. That's all.
I don't like his
reverse
psychology.
Brother. Look, I have this other pill, though, if you want to try it.